It's funny, I have to repeat it to myself over and over again. Everyone is in this local place. That is, actual existence is local. There is no global, there is no national. These are concepts, and they're imperial concepts. They're defined by military power. They're not democratic. And it's funny that it's so obscure because it's so obvious. When you go into a city council chamber, it's different from a legislature. Generally speaking, the elected officials are mingling with the crowd. There are lots of crazy people in the room who are not under control, who are often noisy, belligerent, pushy. It's an ugly, common scene. So you think this would be better understood, but the truth is it's not better understood because no one's participating. They're not even participating in the federal politics. And that's all that they think about. That's all that they know about. They don't know anything about what's going on in City Hall. And yet this is the actual democracy. This is the place where you, a real person or any real person, goes and participates. And it's the only way that you can participate realistically. And this is the sleeping giant. This is this neglected, inherently constitutionally powerful, but forgotten, sleeping, inactive institution, the real republic, the true physical location of democracy, not Washington, not Sacramento, but your town, just like it is for everybody else. And placing all of this hope, democratic hope, in national governments is itself imperial ideology. It's placing unrealistic hope in a power which in its essence is simply violent. It is not a peaceful, progressive force. It is an exclusive, violent force, essentially aggressive. And I don't just mean the United States, I mean nation states. That is their history, that is their purpose. Their purpose is not a constructive, progressive, democratic purpose. The history of that progressive purpose is the city. It is people, the democracies where people live. And the city today and over the past 200 years has been reduced to a ghetto, to the lowest level of the hierarchy, to a stool upon which to climb and jump to a higher level. And so no one is taking the city seriously. Even the city officials do not take the city seriously. They're conditioned not to. It isn't just a cultural conditioning, but it's also a legal conditioning because, in fact, in the past 200 years, cities have been reduced to their current state, no longer as the foundations of the government upon which state and federal government was built, which is the historical fact of the existence of nation states, but they have been retroactively reduced to subdivisions of federal and state power, dependence upon federal and state power, the unfunded mandates, funded mandates, the removal of taxation powers from the local level to the state and federal level, the deprivation of property rights, which happened in the late 19th century. Abraham Lincoln was one of the important lawyers who helped the railroads persuade federal courts to deprive municipalities of property rights and the right to block railroads and others that were federally licensed to pass through them. So this is a conspiracy. This is something that's been in the works for over a century, for virtually 2 centuries. Just after the revolution this began. And it's imperial. As America became an empire, it did this to its cities. It stopped acting like a democracy. For democracy to occur culturally, it must occur in people, not just virtually among abstract leaders or in the media or opinion leaders, or whatever you want to call it, thought leaders. It has to occur culturally in a manner that generates new knowledge, in which the democratic process itself generates new knowledge, in which none of the parties had before. None of the most leveraged, powerful parties had that knowledge or was capable of generating that knowledge. This, I think, is part of what is really neglected in discussions about democracy. It's simply treated as, we know what we want, the government should give it to us, and then the private market should fill in the gaps. They're the guys who know how to do it. We'll just tell them what to do, and then they'll do it. That's wrong. That's utterly false. There needs to be a lot more in the local democracy within the political process, because it's a matter of invention. The knowledge is invented. It's not just found or discovered. It is constructed.